Stop wasting time watching everybody else be great while you sit around and mope and complain about how your life is not progressing and how you feel like God isn't doing anything in your life. I think it's a hard reality, but there are things that God has called each of us to do that we are sleeping on. And then when we see other people doing what God has called them to do, jealousy arises in us and we get frustrated and we get upset and we feel like, well, God, why are you not calling me to do that? Why are you not calling me to do what they're doing? And the reality is, no, God is not going to call you to do what that other person is doing because you have yet to do what God has called you to do. So the truth of the matter is, don't sit around watching everybody else be great, becoming jealous, becoming discontented because you're sitting around watching everybody else while you sit and procrastinate and you don't walk fully in what God has called you to do. It can be so discouraging and it can be such a killjoy when you sit and watch everybody else be great while you sit on your gifts and sit on the anointing that God has given you, and you just complain and you don't do anything with what God has poured into you. I think there's a point in our lives when we have to accept the truth of God has spent many years pouring into you and giving you what you need and equipping you, and you have yet to pour out. So you're waiting for God to give you something new and you're waiting for God to give you something more, but you haven't yet poured out what God has poured into you in the last season. So why are you expecting God to give you more when you have not poured out what God has given to you in the last season? It's time for you to pour out. So once again, stop watching everybody else be great and go do what God has called you to do. Go do what God has gifted you to do. And if it gets hard, it gets hard. Pray to God and ask him to give you strength. And remember that we do all of this by the Spirit of God. It's not by might, it's not by power, but it's by the Spirit of the living God.